I have, well, I spent a lot of time in the Amherst Chamber of Commerce offices in my time in Congress. In fact, my office was right across the way here, so we did a lot of events engaging the business community so I could get their viewpoints, which are critically important to me as I formulated policy back in Congress, but even more so now as the governor of this state, when I'm seeing so many threats that are hitting not just this community that I cherish and love, but also the entire state and indeed our country. And so I want to put a special emphasis and focus on what is happening with tariffs. I gathered with members of the Buffalo and Niagara Partnership early at the first advent of the tariffs. We met last spring and had a really candid conversation on what this could be doing to businesses. 1 year later, it is far worse than anyone could have expected. I mean, what has happened is just so incredible. I mean, this is an area that's so used to building things, and that's from a family that made steel at the Bethlehem Steel Plant, or people make cars, and we ship things. We welcome visitors from around the world, and right now there's just so much uncertainty. I think one thing I know about businesses, they need stability, they need certainty. Just tell us the rules of the road, and we'll follow them. But everything is so chaotic for business communities, and when businesses are deciding whether to expand or what their pricing should be, this lack of knowledge of what the next day is going to bring is incredibly disruptive. And I want to comment on that, but also know that our economy is so closely tied to the Canadian economy. I say this all the time, whether I'm in New York City or the North Country, where they're equally affected. Western New York is the largest community along our border. Largest cities, largest region, 430-mile border with Canada. So when you think about even other states, we have the population, the businesses, and the farms that are being so negatively impacted by this hostility toward what had always been our greatest partner, our strongest ally, in my opinion, still is, and that is Canada. And I've been at events with the Canadian Consul General and others, and I'm always saying to them, this is not who we are. We love you. We want you to come here. We want to let you know you're welcome. But at a time when we recognize that this relationship from the federal government with New York's largest trading partner, which is Canada, we've exported $20 billion to Canada and imported $20 billion as well. So it's a relationship that's in balance, and it supports jobs across both borders. And what has happened to not just our industries, but our tourism industries. It's been a hard hit. When you have 400,000 fewer Canadians coming over, that's a lot less money being spent here. That is hotel rooms not being filled. It's not people not going to attractions from Niagara Falls down to the city and beyond. So it's had a real impact. And the small businesses particularly are always the ones hardest hit. They don't have the resources to get them through the tough times, and they're really feeling it, and I'm hearing it nonstop. Agriculture, we'll be hearing from our farm community, but the cost of fertilizer and lumber and the shavings for the stalls, and I never realized how much we rely on Canadian lumber and fertilizer ingredients. I mean, these fertilizer ingredients that are essential come from either Canada or Ukraine, okay? Right now, we're not good places to secure this, and it's huge additional costs, and so it's affected our. Also, people aren't buying our exports. There's just whether it's our wines, they're not buying our wines, and just there's this sense of protecting themselves because they're angry at us, and it's having a very, very negative ripple effect on us. So, what I have had to do is propose support for our farmers. I introduced $30 million into our budget to make sure that we could support them, and the Department of Agriculture will be letting people know how we get that money out. There'll be direct support payments to our farmers and other ways we can support it. And I want to thank our elected officials who've joined